Elle Magazine may be looking for Kate to sell covers, but the magazine's September issue is already a big winner. Ad pages are up 12% over last year, and it is the biggest single issue that the parent company Hearst has ever published. With us now is the man behind all these pages, Elle publisher Kevin O'Malley. Kevin is also the former publisher of Esquire. Kevin, let's start with this book. It is like a brick. On my coffee table, I love it. When I'm getting a manicure, I love it. I don't like it in my handbag. Why the Bible?
Why the Bible? Well, first of all, thank you for just actually bringing to life what we call the thud factor in our industry.
I felt it.
And in the September issues, you want that thud factor. But in terms of the consumer, and portability, and is it too heavy to put in your pocketbook? Well, first thing is, if you don't want to do that, you just get our digital edition on whatever, tablet that you want it on. So, and that's growing very nicely for us, the amount of digital subscriptions. That's a big part. That's sort of the untold story of what's happening in our industry, and specifically with a magazine like Elle, because our core audience is millennials. So, of course, they're really using and going to mobile devices more and more often. So that's a big part of it.
But what happens with you and advertisers? So obviously selling ad pages in a book like this is so important to you. What happens when your subscribers are going digital?
Well, it's a beautiful thing, actually, for the advertisers, because, number one, they automatically get included in our digital edition, so they get, the additional exposure there. But here's something that is really not talked about in our industry that we're so excited about. We're really in a transformative era, right? We're moving from operating as a magazine brand to a multi-channel content brand. Big difference. And what really the impact of that is that our consumer franchise is growing. So from an advertiser perspective, if you aggregate now what we do on Elle.com with all of our social media channels, that's actually equal to the total size of our 6 million readers here. So for our advertisers, where a lot of that is an unduplicated audience, that's fantastic for them, and it's great for us because we're growing our consumer franchise too.
Kevin, what percentage of Elle's annual revenue comes from the September issue?
We do about 17% in this one issue alone.
And then the next big issue is March?
March is a big issue. March and September, the big spring and the big fall issues, of course, anchor those respective halves, the first half and the second half. But the fourth quarter overall, September all the way in, October, November, and December, because the September issue, you have to understand also from an advertiser and a retailer perspective, why is this so important to them? This really sort of kicks off the fall.
You can drop it again if you want.
May I? Can I do that?
You can do
Thud factor, I didn't get a good thud on that one. I had to get a flat fall. But it kicks off really the fall holiday selling season, which takes us all the way through, Q4 into the height of the holiday season.
All right, well, when we think about bottom line, it costs you a lot of money to put out these glossy pages, to photograph these beautiful women. When you talk about the thud factor, who is it important to? Is it you versus Vogue? Anna Wintour has 650 pages and you've got 648. Does the consumer really care who's got a bigger book?
Right. I don't think they do. I think what the consumer is really focused on, especially for what they consider to be their, fall fashion Bible, and like this, what they really want is they want to make sure that there's a strong price-value relationship inherent in that. So if they're going to the newsstand and they're plunking their money down, they want to have this as a go-to resource, and not just for that, particular month. This really becomes a resource and a coffee table item that sticks around for a while.
Then if it's about glamour and desire, where do you save money? Where do you cut costs? Because cutting costs is neither glamorous nor sexy.
No. Well, we're not talking, actually, we're not cutting costs. If there's one thing that we're doing on a regular basis with the magazine, we're investing in the magazine. Interesting headline, right? The largest issue in our history. Here's something that is not part of that headline. It's also the largest single revenue month on Elle.com ever since we launched in 1996.
Kevin, you say that the consumer doesn't care how big it is versus Vogue, but you do. Is there any way to help yourself but compare yourself to Vogue in this business?
Yeah, I think that, and actually it was, we were talking about this, Erik, just before we came on, and Stephanie had a couple comments about Elle and some of the other magazines she reads, and the way to really compare it is take it away from the thud factor and how thick it is. Product, product. Whether you're talking to me, somebody in the automotive industry, somebody in the tech industry, it starts with product. We live in a consumer-centric world where there's so much parity in products that you've got to start there. And Elle's voice is what really is driving the success of this magazine.